Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a technology that completely changed India, the printing press. I mean, just think about it. Books, newspapers, posters, they're everywhere now, right? But what was it like before all of this? You see, before print came along, India had this long and beautiful tradition of knowledge being shared through handwritten manuscripts. So let's explore how that world transformed into the one we know today. Okay, so here's the plan for our session. First, we'll go back in time to the age of manuscripts. Then, we'll see how the printing press arrived in India. We'll find out how it created new readers and sparked new ideas, how it gave a voice to women, and how it helped shape the very idea of our nation. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the lasting impact of print. All right, let's start at the very beginning, in the world before print. What did it mean to read or write a book in India before any printing machines existed? Well, this was the age of scribes and books written entirely by hand. Just take a look at the images on this slide. Absolutely beautiful, aren't they? This is what knowledge looked like before print. India had this magnificent tradition of handwritten manuscripts, often on things like palm leaves or handmade paper. They were written in so many languages: Sanskrit, Arabic, Persian, you name it. And each one was like a work of art, with beautiful handwriting and these amazing detailed illustrations. But, as incredible as they had some major drawbacks. So, what was the problem? Well, the main thing to understand is that manuscripts just weren't for everyone. Think about it. Every single copy had to be written out by hand. That made them incredibly expensive and took a very, very long time to produce. They were also quite fragile and hard to handle without damaging them. And because everyone's handwriting is different, the scripts could be difficult to read. So because of all these reasons, these books had very limited circulation, which meant knowledge was really a luxury for a very small, wealthy group of people. But then, a change started to happen. A brand new technology came to India that would completely revolutionize how people shared ideas. And that was, of course, the printing press. The story of print in India really kicks off in the mid-1500s. The first printing press was brought to Goa by Portuguese missionaries, mainly because they wanted to print religious books. As you can see on our timeline, the first Tamil book was printed in 1579, and the first Malayalam book followed in 1713. But the real game changer, the moment things started to open up to the public, was in 1780. That's when James Augustus Hickey launched the Bengal Gazette, which was India's very first newspaper. This was the start of something huge. Now, this new technology didn't just stay with missionaries or the government. Soon, ordinary people began to use it. Let's see how print became this powerful tool for public debates and discussions, really for the first time in history. And this was the real revolution. Suddenly, books became cheap. But more importantly, books and newspapers started to be printed in vernacular languages. The languages that people actually spoke in their daily lives. For the first time ever, knowledge wasn't locked away in difficult languages like Sanskrit or Persian. It was finally accessible. And this created a whole new audience of readers, people who were eager for new information and ideas. This is a fantastic example of the new power of print. It became a public stage for some really intense debates. For instance, in the early 1800s, there were big arguments between social reformers and the Hindu orthodoxy on issues like sati. The reformer Ram Mohan Roy started his newspaper, the Sambad Kaumudi, in 1821 to argue for reform. So what did the Orthodox group do? They started their own paper, the Samachar Chandrika, to argue against him. The debate was no longer happening behind closed doors. It was right there in print for everyone to read and to form their own opinions. Now, let's talk about one of the most important effects of this new print culture. We're going to see how it played a massive role in the lives of women, giving them a chance to read, to write, and to finally join the conversation about what society should look like. Print became the way to spread powerful arguments, especially about women's education. Just listen to this passionate quote from Begum Rokeya Sakawat Hussain from 1926. She is so fiercely challenging the people who were using religion to keep women from getting an education. It was through journals and pamphlets like these that her bold ideas could reach so many people and spark a much-needed debate about a woman's place in society. And it wasn't just about reading. Women started writing too. Take Sundari Devi, for example. She was a married girl from a very traditional family who secretly taught herself how to read and write. And in 1876, she published her life story, Amar Jivan, the first ever full autobiography in the Bengali language. Then in Maharashtra, you had writers like Tarabai Shinde and Pandita Ramabai, who wrote with such anger and passion about the difficult lives of upper caste Hindu women, especially widows. Print finally gave them a voice to share their own experiences with the world. So as you can see, the power of print was growing. And this led to an even bigger movement. The press didn't just change social debates. It actually became one of the most important tools in the freedom struggle, helping to build a modern Indian national identity. Okay, now have a close look at this image. This is a cartoon from a journal. Notice who's right in the middle, the British official, looking all-powerful. And on either side, you have Indians, who are shown to be bowing down to him. See, cartoons like this were a very clever and powerful way to criticize colonial rule. They used humor to make sharp political points that could be understood by everyone, even people who couldn't read very well. And that really gets to the core of print's role in nationalism. It was all about the vernacular press. Newspapers in local languages reported on the injustices of colonial rule and carried these stories to every town and village. They spread the ideas of nationalist leaders and helped build a shared public opinion against the British. For the very first time, people in different parts of India could read about the same struggles, the same ideas, and they began to feel connected by a common cause. Now, you could imagine the British government was watching all of this happen, right? And they were getting worried. To try and silence all this criticism, they brought in strict controls, something we call censorship. The most famous example was the Vernacular Press Act of 1878. This law gave the government huge powers to shut down any newspaper if it published something they thought was against the government. But you know what? This just made the nationalists even more determined. Journalists and editors bravely found ways to keep resisting. So, as we come to the end of our discussion, let's just take a moment to summarize this incredible journey of print in India and think about the powerful legacy it left behind. So to sum it all up, print was a total game changer for India. First, it helped spread brand new ideas about science, freedom, and democracy far and wide. Second, it created a public space where old social and religious customs could be openly debated and reformed. Third, it gave power to voices that had been silenced for centuries, especially the voices of women. And finally, it played a huge role in connecting people across the country and uniting the nation in the freedom struggle. So you see, back then, print was the technology that opened up information for everyone. It gave a voice to the voiceless and allowed new ideas to challenge old ways of thinking. And that gets me thinking, what is the most powerful platform for spreading ideas and creating change in our world today? What's our modern-day printing press? I'll leave you with that question to think about. Thank you for joining me.